Alrighty. Good morning, everybody in the Vets and Barbells listening corner. How are we doing? I apologize for not posting a video or a podcast last week. I was on vacation, and while I had the intentions to do such, I know that I did not follow through on that. So again, I apologize. We're continuing to figure this out. Right now, like I said, I think with someone else is Kevin has had some personal things come up that he needs to attend to and focus on. So for the while, until I get more interviews lined up, it's really just going to be me running my suck. So hope that you don't mind that. Hope that you can still get something out of that. So again, welcome to this cold, frigid Midwest morning. It's like 6 o'clock right now. Finding that, at least for right now, since I'm here in the gym already super early after clients and classes before I get my own workout in, we're going to try to I'm going to slip you in here in the morning. So today's going to be a good one. Before we get into that, there are things that I want to say that, this podcast isn't necessarily brought to you by. I don't really have direct sponsorships yet, but there are products that I do believe in. There are products that I do trust. There are products that I want you to research and look into for yourself. One is Johnny Slicks. It's a veteran-owned company on the East Coast, run by one Marine started it, and then another one came in and really helped them out. So Johnny Slicks is great. My favorite. They're all. It's pretty much an organic pomade or hair or beard oil company. Again, it's veteran-owned. I love it. I naturally have a genetic receding hairline, so it's probably only slightly going to get worse, but honestly, since I started using Johnny Slicks pomade, less hair does fall out, and I can tell that it's healthier. The two ones that I like are their organic and then their paradise scents on them. The original is just more of a man smell to it, more kind of a woodsy original smell. So I kind of like that on the go anytime. And then if I'm kind of done with a very long day, and I take a shower and I'm at home, I'll throw in some of the paradise and, maybe I just get a little extra kiss or two from the wife, just saying. So it might help you out in your favor. So Johnny Slicks, go look them up. They're a great company. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, even kind of YouTube. So next one is Axe and Sledge. You guys know that I talk about Axe and Sledge all the time. Some of the best, cleanest products on the game, best bang for your buck, especially when you use a discount code like mine, MBlake10. Put that in, on your checkout codes, and it'll save you even more money. Trust me, guys. Their protein is phenomenal. Pre-workout is lit. What else can I say? Even their sister company, the American Made Nutrition. I love their Super Greens or the Smart Greens. No, Sport Greens. I love their Sport Greens. Best thing, taste is really good actually for greens. The Sport Greens is really good. So my code is good for either of those. So more to come later. The last thing I want to hit on is I have not necessarily partnered up, but I've been brought in to be an athlete for off the leash training or off the leash lifestyle. Very, very cool company based out of Washington State, doing a lot of really good things, just trying to bring people and empower them to reach their fullest potential. So right now I'm kind of starting off with them, kind of seeing how things are, panning out, but definitely go ahead and give them a find, a look, a listen, a share. Again, that's Off the Leash Lifestyle. You'll find them on Instagram as well as Facebook. They sell workout programs, apparel, and just other such items. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get into this. So today, biggest thing that I keep thinking of, and those of you on the YouTube, welcome to my office again. If you've ever wondered what that cardboard is with the holes behind me covering up my window, that's my template for the dot drill that I kind of keep on hand. I kind of built it and said, I took the time to do it. I'm going to keep it on in case I need to, respray paint the dots on the ground. The other one is my Boondock Saints poster. That thing's got a lot of history. Those of my buddies that are listening to it that were around for that time, we shared a lot of good stuff during that, so thank you. But while I was on vacation, our resort that we got blessed to be in literally faced the ocean. And I'm an East Coast boy. I was pretty much raised on the ocean, by the water. And as much as everybody loves the Lake of the Ozarks here, it's nice, but it just doesn't do it for me. There's something about the ocean air, the sandy beaches, the atmosphere of just a bay town or a coast town. It's just really neat. I've missed it a lot. But even though it was the off season on this resort, or just in the Myrtle Beach area, really wasn't a lot of people, of course. So in the mornings, I would set an alarm to do some cardio, go down to the gym, follow their guidelines and whatnot. But I would always try to find time for either myself and my wife to go walk the beach, or, because my mom was there for a little bit. So she was able to watch the kids and give Lexi and I a little alone time, which is really nice. We don't get that a whole lot. But I was walking the beach one morning, and it was cold, sure, but it literally, like, I looked down one way, I looked down the other way, and I think the only other person I saw was like, a mile away. So really just me, the waves, and the rising sun. And I don't really know what was bouncing around in my head that day, but something I kind of settled on thinking about is, this feeling of freedom of like, look, if I want to sleep, I want to sleep. If I want to go for a walk, I go for a walk. If I want to, just do whatever, I do whatever. And I'm able to do it just with my family the whole time. That feeling of freedom brought to me my thought of, in some weird way, it jumped to my identity. What is my identity? Or on the flip side, what is my facade? Is there it was a very introspective, kind of revealing morning. It was weird. But I felt like it was and could be applicable for a lot of people. We live in such confusing times where we can, really, people of any, men and women, boys and girls of any age, we can almost feel lost, because this world is continuing to run contrary to tradition. It's not always bad, but run contrary to really helping people find a very good, like, base of who they are. There's a lot of, and what I mean by that is that there's a lot of competing voices. And again, that's not always bad if you kind of know how to sift through those. But with a lot of these competing voices, I feel like people feel, and I know this because I speak from experiences, we can feel like we're being pulled in so many directions of either what we want or who we think we are. And so then in turn, sometimes we feel like we push and pull ourselves to fit somewhere because maybe it feels right, or that's what we want, or that's what we feel we want. And so being able to kind of sit back and look at everything big picture will, at least helps me to understand, am I living for me, or am I living for the expectation of someone else? And when you're younger, it's kind of harder to sift through because, you're living with your parents, more or less live up to their expectation, or at least their desires of what you want, because you're under their roof. However that parenting structure works. But the thing that as you get older, as you learn, as you develop, you have to really find yourself. You have to find what makes you tick, and at some point, at least for me, I was raised in a, certain house. So I wouldn't say it was super strict, but it was definitely structured, with, the morals and ethics and values that my mother and father chose to follow, and that they chose to teach to me and my two brothers. And at some point, and I was always super stubborn, and that's why I bring up, this example to kind of illustrate this point, is I was always just wanting out. Like, school bored me. I did okay, didn't do great, didn't really care, but it just wasn't for me. People are super immature. I wasn't really into the scene. But once I got out of the house, once I went to college, once I finally got out on my own and away from, those expectation pressures, or the pressures to have things expected of you from others, instead of having things expected of you from yourself. I want to say that again. That's something to think about. Putting yourself in an environment where you're not feeling the pressures of expectations from others for you, but you feeling the expectations from yourself. That's what's going to cause true growth and true drive. So with that new phase I was in, I really had to learn what it is that makes me tick, made Marcel tick then in 2009, 2010-ish. What was it that made me jive the way I did? And there was a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs, there's a lot of confusion. And, from then even to now, sometimes there's modes I get in where like, man, what's going on? Like, why is this not enough? Like, why do I feel the way I do? Like, what am I really trying to live for? And during those early times when I was away on my own, I was typically more of a introverted person, and I still very much am, but I'm very much, I do enjoy a social scene. I do enjoy having friends and having a tribe and having like-minded people around me, because like-minded, if you put yourself around like-minded people, you're more apt to push and stimulate growth and development from each other. Being able to be that first year of college away, I was able to find a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. And I grew up in the DC area, so don't think I wasn't exposed to billions and billions of different cultures and ethnic groups and backgrounds. I loved it. Other than the hustle and bustle and the craziness of like a big city, being able to live in such a melting pot was fantastic. I loved it and I miss it. The few times I see like an Indian family like here in like Middle Missouri, I'm like, where's the Indian restaurant? Like because I love food. I'm a foodie. I think we can share so much from people and learning backgrounds, through food, and then just through having an open mind. But circling back is when you're out on your own and there's no one there to put the bumper rails on you. Part of me wanted to say forcibly guide, but that's not right. You have to learn to guide yourself. And with that truly does come or finding or searching or having a set code, or at least a knowledge of a code of ethics, morals, and values, so that at least the base of your character of who you are and what you believe is right or wrong, is established, or at least a point from where it can grow from. And everyone's going to, fall differently on that spectrum. But to really find your identity rather than your facade, there has to be a base foundation there. It is hard in my opinion, for someone to truly live free and open if their internal character or their internal bodywork is always within anarchy with itself. Never feeling, set in kind of who they are as a person. They're almost like an amoeba where, they're continually like in flux. If that analogy works, it just kind of popped in my head. There's not to say someone has to be rigid. There's definitely a middle ground. But so, and a lot of this identity talk kind of comes up with, struggles I've had with family members and myself of, who do you really want to identify as? And this is going to be the core crux of this podcast is it your identity or your facade? And with that comes the question of, is your identity who you are, or or what you want to be identified as? Because it's a twofold question that begs the introspective look of, is your identity who you are? Like, I am who I am. I know what I believe. I know how strongly I feel on certain things. I'm always willing to have an open mind on someone else's opinion or viewpoint. That's awesome. Maybe it'll change like where I fall on the spectrum, but for the most part, like, I know what I believe and I know what I feel very strongly because of what I've experienced, what I've gone through, what I've felt within my heart, my soul, my brain, you know, whether you believe in certain, everybody believes in the heart and the brain, of course, but you know, that soul or that spirit that people carry, that essence, you know, everybody is unique, and it's not just the body work and the DNA. Like I believe that who we are is different because of just the spiritual essence we carry, without getting into the weeds of any of that. And we need to be proud of that fact, and we need to identify it. We can't squander these pieces of us that make us who we are. So is your identity who you are? Can you look at yourself and everything that you currently believe about you? Can you sit there and say it to yourself? Okay. Can you sit there and tell yourself what you know you can do? And then can you also sit there and tell yourself what you know you can't do, or what you know you have to do better? And essentially call yourself out on your BS. And with that is like, call yourself out on the facade. Do you do what you do just to be a part of a group, just to fit in, just to do what seems like everybody else is doing? Or are you in that spot? Are you with that group because that's how you truly feel? You know, and with that comes a lot of peer pressure issues. Like if you think that that's just the mode and then you're just going to go with it, is that truly living? I don't know. That begs the question of the person. It's not us or somebody else's job to judge another person, but finding your true identity of who you are is so freeing, because then you stop worrying, one, about what everyone else thinks. Who gives a crap what somebody thinks of the fact that I was walking around my house in like a red flannel and like camo sweatpants? Somebody out there is probably like, wow, that was really stupid. And I'm like, I don't care what you think. You know, my wife gets on me all the time. I mean, I do care about what my wife thinks. So, Lexi, I love you. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna take pointers from her as far as like maybe how I look when I go out. Maybe I'll give her some pushback. So, this is what I like. Of course, throwing like a 5-year-old tantrum, but knowing who you are, but not giving into the facade of who you want people to believe you are. It's false. You're essentially lying to yourself and lying to others. And then that, again, goes back to what I've already covered is, okay, well, that's going to be a reflection of your character, because, some people can keep a facade up or a lie going for a long time. But honestly, like, eventually stuff's going to get found out. And it's just going to make things weird. And it's going to, probably have people feel about you differently, because they're like, whoa, we thought you were this, but like, you're just kind of like, you just want to be here to be here. You're not really with it. So, it's weird. It's kind of a different thing, but, and then the second part of, or who you want to be identified as. And again, like, if you get wrapped up in the identity politics of it all, and this is kind of the big crux of the frustration of that, the final kind of ending thought while I was kind of walking back and forth on this beach. I will say, if you're breaking in a pair of new shoes, don't decide, I'm going to go do a beach run. That hurt for a couple days. But what are identity politics really doing to us? They're doing the same thing that's been happening incrementally over years. We're further dividing each other. When the whole political scheme going on, for the last, it just seemed never ending. And that was just more draining than anything else. Luckily, took Facebook off my phone. Just really don't watch a whole bunch of mainstream media to begin with. So I just really don't have to be around it, especially since I don't work at a big global gym anymore. I don't have to be around the TVs. I don't have to even like glance over and look at what's going on. I actually look and read my news sources if I can. But identity politics, like in the political scheme, what I find so weird that nobody really calls out, but I guess it's just whatever norm now, is just the dividing of the vote. Oh, here's the white suburban vote, or here's the black minority vote, or here's the Hispanic vote, or the Asian, whatever. It's like, okay, well, if we really think about it, you voting equals the fact that you're an American citizen, or at least the way it should be. Okay, so in reality, you're all Americans, or you're all citizens of the United States of America, who, not a perfect union, but a more perfect than this world has ever seen, has set up to gather all these people in and make it work. And I don't know, there's little things like that I just feel like, stop letting yourselves be put in a box as far as like, you're black, you're white, you're Hispanic, and then we'll throw all the slang in there too about what people want to say about who you are. But like, honestly, to end this podcast on kind of the culminating thing is the item is when I've met people that have known my ancestors, or anyone from a couple of generations behind me that I know of, or at least they want to share with me, the first, depending, the one thing that kind of sticks out is, hey, your grandfather, and this has come from different people, your grandfather, your uncle, your great grandfather, he was a good man. Or your grandmother, she was a fantastic woman. Like, we're missing the mark by what or who we want to be identified by. At the end of the day, I would personally rather be known or leave a legacy that I was a good person, that I was a good man, that I left an impression on those around me, that I left lessons with my children to continue that forward. To not let the color of my skin, the background of my heritage be like, oh, that's who he was, oh yeah, he was a good white guy. Who says that? I mean, well, I can actually like see some old fogies like sitting on like a porch, rocking chairs, I don't know, cracking a joke because they're old and nobody's going to tell them not to say something. But be a good person. Like, I don't care if you're black, Hispanic, Asian, anything in between. I don't care if you're gay, straight, trans. Like, this has been the same thing I've also said. Like, when when being a Marine and being an NCO or supervising over units or people or teams, is I don't care about any of these things. I care about you getting the job done, you being a good person, and not affecting the unit or the section as a whole. Like, be who you are. I don't care, but especially within the framework of the military, like especially within the Marine Corps, like everyone has this baseline of what is expected of them, the level of discipline, the level, the spirit de corps, the core values, leadership traits, all of us have been taught this. As there's this very base foundational set created and taught and espoused and bought into, hopefully by most or all. And so there's the baseline. Past that, I really don't care. As long as you're not being a detriment or a hindrance to the, say, the unit as a whole or my team as a whole, I really don't care how you live your life, And so it comes down to like, look, if you're getting more wrapped up in people having to pay attention to you more because you're a certain race or heritage, or having to pay attention more because your biological or sexual orientation is against the norm, but again, I don't really feel like there's a norm standard like that people really follow anymore. Like there's definitely a traditionalist kind of view, or kind of a certain way to think about it, but honestly, like the thing is, human nature in and of itself is just chaos, and without a framework to really build from, we end up just causing ourselves more anarchy and conflict. So in to pull it all back is, despite color, heritage, orientation, who are you really trying to be? Are you just trying to fit a culture of one of these and just do what they're doing? Just follow, essentially be with the herd? Or are you working on yourself enough to work to be a good person? And you can do that, and you can do both. But I feel like what I'm trying to say is, nowadays we're just seeing people get so wrapped up in, or seeing the mainstream media get so wrapped up in pushing these just never ending identities. And what I don't like seeing people do is, what I don't like is, I don't like feeling like I'm being put in a box, or I'm being told what or who I am. I'm like, whoa, mother effer, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. And what you're saying about me isn't true. Okay. That's what I want people to think about, is with your identity, are you being put in a box? And if so, why are you letting someone do that to you? I don't know how else to really put it, is from the, we started with more of the introspective look, identity and facade, and now it's just your identity of who you are, depending on who you want to be identified as, or who you're willing, who you're allowing someone to identify you as. I love meeting people of other races and cultures. It's fun. As long as we can communicate or figure out a way to communicate, I enjoy it, because there's something I'm going to learn. There's something I'm going to take away from that. And if there's food involved, as long as it doesn't wreck me later, I'm going to take something away from that too. We can share and figure out a lot about each other if we find common ground. And for me, the common ground I've found with other people to really bridge cultures is family, food, music, or just fun time. So 3 F's, family, food, fun. There's going to be some activity, whether that's music, dance, or sport. Something within those 3, you're going to bridge gaps. You're going to find a way to be able to communicate, to be able to build a relationship. So I hope all that makes sense to everybody. Again, not the typical veteran side, not the typical lifting side, but it's a mental development portion to empower you to figure out and be more free for you. Because again, the slogan of my gym is arise and conquer. Wake up, get after it, conquer the day, figure it out. Between waking up and conquering, what is it you need to do in between? What is it you need to do physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, depending on what wheelhouse you're going to fall in, or all of them? What is it you need to do to tighten up, to make yourself better? Okay, so figure yourselves out. Just figure it out. Okay, do some introspective, looks. Ask yourself the hard questions. Write them down. Try to answer them. Look at yourself in the mirror. That's what I do. I talk to myself. I know. Anyone out there probably just ripped me up, and I'm probably going to get med step now. But call yourself out on the BS. Stop allowing yourself to live a false life just for somebody else's enjoyment. And maybe you're going to get something out of it too. You're going to get a very base enjoyment. But find who you truly are. Once you do that, you're gonna release so much baggage in your life. So again, thank you for listening. Again, roundabout way to hit a couple different things, but thank you for sticking with me. I hope you took something away from it, and I will see you all next time.